And welcome back, again, ladies and gentlemen, to another day of the UPL. There we go, the Unified Premier League. I got it at the end. I'll be your host for the Ravishing Rabbits, the most ravishing out of the internet. And I'm joined here by my side by not Destrux. Who are you? Introduce yourself.
I am Rare Adam. I'm a street performer caster, apparently, according to Donghua, and that is my title that I will hold dear to my heart. But I'm happy to be here on UPL as well.
Wonderful. Welcome. I welcome you with closed arms, Adam, because I'm not too sure about you yet. But one person I do welcome with open arms. Yet again, another guest, another beautifully handsome face here. Previous coach for Not Zoos and the toppling menace himself, Mr. Draxler. How you doing, man?
Hey, Ravish. I'm looking forward to today's games between ISU and Striking Vipers. Hopefully, it'll be entertaining for everyone, including us. So let's get to it.
You know what? Beautiful tradition. Thank you for making my job easier, Draxler. So, like you just mentioned, that is our matchup going into tonight. It is still a round of 16 within our playoffs. And as always, like I mentioned before, this is it. It is do or die time right now. So, whoever gets this will be able to move on into the quarterfinals next week. So, looking forward to it. So, Draxler, sticking with you, talk to me a little bit about what you know about these teams.
Yeah, in terms of Striking Vipers, I think they've had some roster switches, so it might be a little bit different from what I'm used to. But they were playing in our group, the same as AoE Natsus, and their performance was shaky at the best of times, and then just kind of sit there and lose at the worst. But ISU in their group, I know 5-0. They did drop a couple games here and there, unlike AoE Natsus, who went undefeated in group stage. But they should, be significantly favored in this matchup with their first seed.
I do not disagree with you on that. Considering they've been, considering ISU on the other end is coming off of a pretty hot win up against UST, who before that were kind of undefeated in just every single major event, all the way back into HughFest, right? Which that's a feat on its own. And I know Drew Dozer and Pater, especially, were definitely feeling themselves after that Corky game. So I'm excited to see if they potentially manage to bring that out again. It'll be a mid lane kingdom, or perhaps the entire top side might get gapped by the Striking Vipers themselves. I don't know. I'm holding all judgments off until we give our predictions. But Adam, it's time for you to give your judgments on what you're seeing about these teams.
Honestly, I think that ISU have really shown a lot of creative strategies throughout the UPL and across all of their competitions in a lot of ways. I think they bring a little bit of a spark of genius in some ways to some of these picks, pulling, that barrier cleanse Corky out. That was exciting to watch. I just when I was casting that, Magical and I were just going back and forth about how crazy that game was. So I'm excited to see what ISU has in store. Striking Vipers has some good pieces. I just don't think that as a whole they have what it takes to take down, a really strong team such as ISU here.
It is definitely going to be a tough game for them, considering their overall performance. Although they did manage to come out on top of the groups and make it into playoffs, right? It's going to be a large mountain to climb for them. So definitely the underdogs coming into the story. And considering all the facts of the both teams that we know here, Draxler, I come to you with a question that is very near and dear to my heart. Can Yorick beat Jace?
Yorick beat Jace? I feel like this is a loaded question. Are you assuming or somehow predicting that this is going to be a matchup that we're going to see today?
This question is for me.
I'm quite excited. I mean, historically, if you're asking about the matchup, Yorick has been favored for a long time.
That's right.
I'm not entirely sure how we'll see that matchup today, because Yorick's been out of meta for quite a while. Administration not being super kind to him, but that'd be exciting to see.
You know what? We're not going to see it at all. I just want people to know out there that you with your big brain, do go ahead and put out there yet again that Yorick does beat Jason. For any coach and any analyst that has ever doubted me, take that. Now, that's all my overall inhibitions aside. Let's talk about our predictions for tonight, starting off with you, Jackson.
Yeah, well, this best of 3, 2-0 obviously seems to be the normal conclusion to make. I think for me specifically, how that 2-0 is achieved is interesting, because coming from Summer PG and seeing, Academy, top amateur, and seeing basically the top of Unified now, how that kind of stacks against each other. Will we see the same kinds of level of macro and micro and early game setups and things like that? That'll be interesting, but 2-0.
I mean, I respect the comment, Adam. What do you think?
comment out. What, man? Come on, man. I'm just getting flamed here. But I think it's going to be ISU 2-0, just no doubt. They are far and away a better team here, and I think that Striking Vipers, they might be able to get some surprising fights off and maybe give us some good clips, but that's all I have in terms of expectations.
Look, I'm usually all for the underdogs here and stuff, but Pater comes on here way too often, and I'm sure he's gonna call me out if I do vote against his team. So yeah, it's gonna be ISU 2-0 today, bro. I think that's just realistically where my overall head stands. So shout out to them. But I would be very enthralled and excited to see if perhaps Striking Vipers can surprise us here today. And I would love absolutely nothing more. With that being said, we do have ready and on the caster desk, Buton Boulevard and Dia, but you're taking the game number 1 for this round of 16. Take it away.
All right, well, what's up, guys? Hey, Beatdown, nice to see you. Let's jump into it. ISU versus Striking Vipers. Now, Beatdown, you're much more familiar with these teams than I am, but we've gotten the chance to do a little bit of digging beforehand, and I want to know, for the matchup in general, where you think on the map that the highest tension points are going to be?
I'm gonna choose the cop-out answer and say all
Okay.
of them, Dia. The thing, because
Okay.
it's funny you asked that. I think the challenge is going to be, and I agree largely with the desk sentiment that Striking Vipers are going to be the ones to struggle here. Definitely the underdogs going
Mhm.
into tonight's matchup, just because if you look like player for player, despite the players on Striking Viper being quite good, there is a gap. And in terms of teamwork as well, the Striking Vipers, they have had a lot of roster issues throughout just the split of UPL alone. And what that's resulted in is a good roster that we're seeing tonight, but one that's only been together for 3 or 4 weeks roughly. So that, I think, is going to be where their problem lies. Trying to get out of that solo queue mentality because, they've, again, recently just formed as a roster and being able to play as a unit as well as trying to come out on top of those individual matchups here. And I mean, it sounds very doom and gloom, but it's not. It's definitely not impossible. But there's also a reason why everyone is saying IC 2-0.
You know what? It totally makes sense when we consider how strong they were coming out of their groups. I believe first seed in their group that was not a weak one by any means. ISU had to fight to get here, and they did so in really, really clean fashion. I don't believe dropping a series and beatdown. With that, I mean, ISU has already shown that they can tango with the best. What are some of the more perhaps unique things that Striking Vipers might be looking to take down this roster tonight? Because if you've got to take down somebody who is favored over you, sometimes you got to go a little bit unorthodox.
That's definitely a one way to do so, some cheese unorthodox play. But I think what Striking Vipers are going to have to do is just focus on playing their game. I don't know if using some of these cheese strategies is really going to work for them here. And even talking with some of the people over in that camp, that's the sentiment that they largely share as well. Just remembering that, hey, play as a team and being able to understand that this is going to be a very difficult matchup for them and one that they have to just basically give their all. It's just the only way they're actually going to be able to even show us the potential of an upset here and actually dash some of these 2-0 predictions that we're seeing.
Now, as we will be popping into draft relatively soon, I think the other thing that bears mentioning is the patch. Things have changed a lot, and beatdown for those of us who haven't had the chance to catch up. I wonder where we see the priority shifting inside of the draft, since things may start departing from the world's meta a little bit more.
I think to some degree things have been some things have been touched on, but if we look about what's been nerfed, like Worlds is on 11.19. And we're currently live as 11.22, and we already have the preview for the next patch as well. Not a whole lot has changed in terms of the actual priorities, at least from what I've seen, from organized play, even at this lower amateur level, compared to at Worlds. It is still a lot of the same champions, because when you think about what's been nerfed, a lot of the main ones like Prize, LeBlanc, a lot of the really strong junglers, Lisa and Zin, stuff like that, I don't recall seeing very many changes. In fact, some pretty positive changes either are through or on the way for items like Core Drinker. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of the same champs so far in this kind of level of play. Very similar to what we saw in Worlds.
Yeah, and hopefully with that level of consistency comes a level of familiarity as well. I think
True.
for ISU, of course, but for Striking Vipers especially, already having removed Zaya, interestingly enough, as a relatively safe pick. However, the Karma on the other side is interesting, not because Karma isn't strong, but because I really want to see Enchanter supports. I don't see nearly as many of them as I wish
Boo.
that I did. I know, I know. If we could just get a Seraphine, a Sona, then things would be right.
Oh dear! Oh guys, get him out of here, please. Give me someone else to cast. I can't believe what I'm hearing. You're ruining me here, bro. I don't want no more enchanters, man. Get him out of my game. I don't want to see the Lucian Nami. I don't want to see. Just give me good old like Rakan, Leona. Those we're starting the fight now kind of champions. That's the good right there.
I like that you point out the Lucianami because ISU hasn't taken it away, but if they don't take either the Lucian or the Nami in the first round, then they could be giving up that combo. Just it's an easy first pickup for Striking Vipers, so I am a little bit concerned about that given how the draft is going so far. But LeBlanc, of course, you cannot give that over. The Jax, however, maybe a little bit odd.
Probably a bit of like researching specific champion denials is what I'm looking for there. Just some target bans. That's the phrase. And to your point about Lucian Nami as well, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets ignored at this point, or maybe ISU were just okay to give it away, because I think as time went on, even in Worlds and pretty much any level of play, there are a lot of answers that have been discovered. A really popular one being Aphelios and the Lulu. Even though despite what I say about enchanters, it is a really good response to that bottom lane. And since neither of those champs are taken out either, I don't think you actually want to be blinding the Lucian Nami unless Disconnector is just like, nah, give it to me anyway. Like, I'm winning this game by myself. But I don't see that on the horizon.
Yeah, instead of seeing the Camille, you take the Renekton into it, and that'll give you what should be a relatively even lane, at least early on. However, it is interesting that Striking Vipers choose to opt for the Renekton, because whenever I see Renekton picked up into something like Camille, whether it be the Gwen or not, anybody with scissors involved particularly, Renekton will eventually lose, and it seems like Striking Vipers, almost off their first pick, are funneling themselves into an early mid-game identity.
And it's funny too, because Renekton has looked better lately. He is actually someone who has gotten a little bit more love since 11-19. So even though during that time he was just really not very much playable in the top lane, I think he's better now, and he's usually seen as a good matchup into the Camille. Part of the reason you see these misfortunes and these just safe bottom lanes that where you can get constant priority is because you want to put resources in the early game on other parts of the map. You want to win mid, you want to push through top, and it's easier to do so when you have things like MF, Ziggs, just these safe bot lane matchups where it's like, yeah, I'm just here to farm. Oh, if there's a good 2v2 angle, sure, we'll take that. But besides that, no.
Well, popping in through the rest of it, we've got the Lee Sin and the Jhin. A little bit of early pressure to lock you down. Jhin having a decent matchup into the MF as well. No support revealed, however. And Striking Vipers do have the option to pick up something like the Leona, something like what you want beat down that can start the fight instantly. However, from the jungle, Jarvan is going to be filling that role.
Well, another champion who can go in and start these fights. Of course, the Cataclysm into the Bullet Time is a very age-old combination here, and you do have a lot of setup potential here with that kind of flag and drag, and that's why maybe we won't see the engage support angle come through, but I think it would be really good just for the front to back and the Misfortune. Maybe that's why we're seeing things like the Thresh taken away, so that these options aren't available to either side here. Now, Galio going down is also actually a pretty good shout, just because Galio Camille is a really good combination. We see Drew Dozer play the champ too, and Nausicaa actually.
Yeah, I like the removal of it because it can really make life hard, especially for somebody like the Misfortune who's relatively immobile. I will say, however, with the comp that Striking Vipers have right now with the Renekton, the Misfortune, and the Jarvan, Misfortune especially screams to me an objective control, especially interestingly around the Rift Herald, with the fact that Renekton should have a pretty good time early on. Misfortune can boogie her way up there with the passive, and Striking Vipers might be looking to give up the first couple dragons, especially to the early power of Lee Sin, and try and play around a pretty early collapse and ideally some towers.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're probably going to see them play a little more towards the top side of the map. Some of these last couple of bans are what I'm really curious about too. Yeah, you're just banning away the mage picks because if we look at the damage profile so far, it's all physical damage across the board here. Orianna, of course, comes to mind. Plus, you give yourself that support counter matchup that recently has become so important for teams at pretty much any level of competitive play. And
Ooh.
the Vex would make a lot of sense too. Fits the bill on what they need in terms of the magic damage. Corki actually would fit that a lot better. It's a champ Drew Dozer is very experienced on, and honestly, it being able to do half magic damage just automatically is actually pretty good for diversifying the profile here.
But are we actually going to see the last pick? I was definitely going to talk about the Corki, and I saw the hover on the Bard, and I was like, hold
Jhin
on,
Bard
hold
kind of
on.
hits.
We may have to wait a second. That is now the highlight of my League of Legends game. The game that I'm going to be casting, I'm talking about Bard all day, all the time. Nausicaa is going to be bringing an X factor to the Rift, and I may just get my wish in the bot lane as well, with a Sona
Yeah.
being hovered right now and locked in.
Wow. Okay, so that one is really interesting. The Bard makes it so that a lot of melee supports instantly feel terrible. Jhin Bard, you're not doing anything for like 6 minutes and probably dying a good amount. So the Sona is definitely interesting. It still fits the bill on what we were talking about earlier. It is a safer bottom lane. You're not going to get prio, unfortunate, but you are going to be able to survive. And as time goes on, and because of some of the love Sona has seen vis-a-vis the rework that she got not too long ago, does mean that she can offer a bit in terms of some of these movement speed, heals, and the like.
Yes, and that value will just keep increasing over the game. So you get some form of scaling from Striking Vipers, where initially they had opted into the Renekton, and we talked about maybe it being a more early game, mid game centric composition. Now you start to see the departure there, at least in terms of sustain later on. And sustain that on the other side, ISU don't really have. They got a lot of really high burst, and I'm not gonna their consistent damage is amazing, have no doubts. But I could see a world where Striking Vipers are able to, move around, out heal, especially if no grievous wounds are built from ISU. It could be a really, really big problem in the later stage of the game. However, Striking Vipers have to get there, and let us not forget that at the very beginning of the day, at the very beginning of the cast, even our analyst desk was saying that this game is going to be extraordinarily difficult for Striking Vipers, and that's not going to start at 30 plus minutes. That's going to start as soon as the minions hit the rift.
That's right. As everybody says, both in ranked and in pro play, the game starts at 0-0-0, not 130, not when the minions spawn. And that's right. That is where the struggles do be. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dia. You can't AFK and go get water as we're loading in. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of getting invaded and you're not there to help me, and I blow my flash and I die. Anyway, this is not about me, Dia. This is about Striking Vipers and how they have a very tall mountain to climb to actually overcome and defeat the team that is ISU.
So there's an interesting thing there, because I think that that they've got, like you say, a really long way to go.
Is interesting, yes.
It is, and consistent too. But one of the things that I'm looking to for consistency to be mirrored here is the team fight of Striking Vipers, because they picked up the Orianna, they picked up the Misfortune, and they got the Jarv, and all of those together with the fact that Sona can help peel, lock down, and provide heals, I do think gives them a pathway to victory at any point in the game, so long as they are within even 5,000 gold. One really good lockdown into especially the Jhin or the Bard, who are very immobile, can change everything.
Yeah, but I'm also interested in Nausicaa's Bard because it's a champ he's played quite a lot, and it is an interesting champ that offers you a lot of flexibility in how you want to play. If you look at the rest of the comp here, we're trying to move in. Everybody's trying to go in. Lee Sin, Camille, Corki, when he has package, like there is only one direction and it's forward. So the thing that Nausicaa will allow them to do, though, is one thing. You can use that Tempered Fate in a lot of different ways. You can disengage. You can, of course, use it to find picks, as a lot of very seasoned Bard players will tell you. So I think that's the big thing to look out for. How well is Nausicaa going to play and be able to work this out for the team here? And how is it going to be responded by Striking Vipers? Because you mentioned 30 minutes, and I thought you were going in the direction of scaling, because that is a thing on my mind here too. Because I think the early game is where Striking Vipers have to come online and really start to find themselves an early lead. You have early power, you have early lane pressure on the top side of the map, and I expect to see Hayes make use of that so that this lead can get generated.
With the game starting off now, no early invades going to be laid down. None of that level 1 power really on either side. Arguably ISU having the slightly better end of it, but even still playing quite reserved for the moment. Are going to have themselves a pretty quiet start. And with that quietness comes the fact that there's going to be no vision on these junglers, which for Hayes may not be so bad. But for GFP, this is really nice stuff. To not be spotted as a Lee Sin gives you a lot of flexibility.
It does. Early vision is super important, especially because like both these junglers can start solo, and it does make it harder to anticipate where they're going to be here. But it is funny that we are just going to see the bottom to top start for both junglers. It makes a lot of sense, especially with ShamWow. He is running the Ignite, so there is a lot of chances for this top lane 2v2 to go the way of ISU.
That's actually the matchup that I was being talked to about before this series, was saying that the difference in the top lane was actually one that we really had to look out for, and you can see the priority there for ISU just in the initial stage of the draft, first pick in that Camille, knowing it's going to be a solid investment for later on. The flashlessness does come with a little bit of risk, however, and as Hayes moves towards the top side, we'll have to keep our eyes on that. But with GFP going for an interesting path from red straight into blue, he could also look to make things a little spicy early game.
And we're already seeing it come through. Drudozer getting very aggressive, already taking control of this early lane phase here, especially with the tier start as well, which is something he is going to like to see. Is later on, he is going to be a damage monster, just an absolute nightmare. And it's worth noting, seems that Unsealed Spellbook is becoming quite popular for Corki, and it is interesting being able to, one, not start with Flash and have a lot of combat summoners. I think will also show that he wants to try and get the push out in this lane. He has heal, he has barrier. He's very happy to trade with this Orianna.
Just do whatever he wants, honestly.
Yeah.
This is vibes for the Corki, and with all that flexibility that's gotten all that safety, he's actually enabling GFP to go on a little bit of an invade here already. Cleared out a lot of his own jungle and is moving in towards that red buff where Jarvan simply cannot duel him, especially after expending double cooldowns right now. Drew comes in to assist, and it is a nice red buff steal away from GFP that requires absolutely zero fighting. He shows his face and it's over.
That's right. Like you said, the cooldowns were expended. They're very long for Jarvan early on. Plus, that early move, that level 2 from Drudozer, gave the information, hey, Hayes is coming up for that red buff. It's definitely up. What's he going to do about it? He's going to watch it get stolen away. And it's not just that. GFP is also going to take the top side. And I mean, while we have a bit of time, let's talk about GFP. He was a sub on this team ISU roster before Hyper went over to TSM Academy. And even Pater was telling me how he had been subbing in for quite a bit before Hyper left, but now he's spent a lot of time working closely with GFP since Hyper had gone, just so that he could develop into what he is now. And man, I'm really excited to see how he's going to perform in these playoffs.
Also goes on a roam and spotted on some vision. You can see ISU pinging this one, or sorry, excuse me, Striking Vibes pinging this one out. However, ISU are hopefully going to be able to provide their Bard a little bit of backup. As Nausicaa very low flashes away, the heal comes in. That's the power of Drudozer there with that Unsealed Spellbook that you mentioned earlier. The flexibility it provides not only to him, but to his team.
Very handy. Although Nausicaa does have to blow Flash because of the Chime Hunt he just went on. I mean, overall, not a whole lot gained just yet. I want to see the punish in the next 5 minutes from Hayes and the rest of Striking Viper. See if they can actually pick up that kill on Nausicaa while he is vulnerable. Speaking of vulnerable, may have a window for Mercy on this top side.
All right, well, with GFP showing his face here, Censored Mercy gonna go low, but maybe not going to go down as Ignite does go, but Censored Mercy still with plenty of health on the Renekton. And I am surprised, however, if we take a look at this bot lane right now, that Disconnector isn't the one being punished. And a large part of this likely has to do with the fact that Sona, not the best engager right now. She could poke Jhin, but really, your Bard could do whatever he wants, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay, but now Disconnector lost a good amount of health, but the Boots 4-pot start really coming in clutch as he manages to heal himself somewhat, even though he's going to have to back. Wait, we're still fighting?
Synotic still has heal right now, but the mana is low on both of these bot laners, so Striking Viper is going to have to expend at least the flash from Vista, along with that heal from Synotic to stay alive, putting themselves at a small disadvantage. at least if GFP decides to visit their lanes even later on. And I really like this move from Nausicaa, pulling the wave a little bit, denying even more experience from Sonotic and Vista as they have to reset.
Yeah, it's a really good play from them. Despite Disconnector being at a really low HP state, they managed to turn it on them and get Dear Vista to force out the flash here. And now, no one really has teleport on the map here. The only chance we'll see a cross map play is from Stifo in the mid lane. He hasn't used the TP just yet. So maybe if ShamWow goes in on him, he could be able to turn that fight around. Hopefully be able to use that advantage because Drudozer hasn't been able to switch summoners yet.
Censored Mercy does have to be careful, though, as level 6s are hit, and GFP is once again making his way up towards the top side. We could see a gank go down here, and even Drudozer is starting to lean over to this top side. Reynos' jungler is even going on a little bit of invade and trading it out with Stifo over by this river. Corki going to maintain priority for the Lee Sin, who has yet to pick up his first kill so far. And as an early game champion, you know, I'm still expecting we got 4-5 minutes until that needs to happen. However, with the I want to say unexpected shift here, it's going to be Striking Vipers going for the Dragon, and that, for a composition that I thought was going to end up giving it up, is an odd one.
I think you're happy about it because Dragon Soul is probably a win con you want to play towards, given how both of these comps are going to play later into the game. So that is a big deal that they managed to find this window and managed to get Dragon number 1 of 4. And now it's nasty, as you say. ShamWow's got a freeze going on here. I don't think it's going to last, but there's going to be a good amount of creeps here potentially denied from Mercy unless his jungler shows up soon.
Yeah, I'm pretty worried about this because there's no doubt in my mind that ISU knew that Dragon was going down, and that's why they bring GFP up to pressure out Renekton. It's already resulted in a 20-odd CS lead, and it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better for Censored Mercy, as there's no hope that he's going to be able to walk up to this lane. Even Hayes right now, he's still stuck bot lane. There's absolutely no prayer for this Renekton. He's sitting there trying to leash off experience, but he's getting further and further behind the more that we wait. I think the reset's a good idea because the fact is, you wait long enough, you are going to get murdered.
Wow, and it's rough too because that's 2 unfortunate recalls Mercy's had to take. Look at him, he's down 30 CS at the moment here. Probably lost a good amount of XP as well. And you can see Drudozer, I like how much pressure he's been putting here. He's always getting the push on the wave, and he's going to invade either to steal camps, try to get vision, because even though GFP hasn't been able to do much. Actually, wait a second.
Nausicaa's going to be able to make this one happen. Nice first blood picked up for GFP, and he's looking for a little bit more as Hayes has to use the flag and drag back underneath the tower. Nice setup from Nausicaa as well, but GFP may have stepped a little bit too far forward. Safeguard takes him out, but Hayes should have his cooldowns up again soon. Cataclysm burns the flash from GFP, but Nausicaa and Drudozer are going to be able to make sure they're safe on the way out. Still plenty of mana on both these guys, and the heal and the barrier still up for Drudozer should mean that he's safe as he burns that barrier to get out to safety. In comes the curtain call from the side, and Vista is so dead. He trades one back onto Nausicaa, and Sonotic's going to be able to get out for now, but ISU continue to control the play and use their bot lane so well to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost a pretty scary situation there from GFP, but really good discipline for him to hold the flash until after the Cataclysm comes in. And now at this point, wow, Disconnector, he's walking up to a Renekton, Dia. He's not afraid. He's the same level as him. He's, you don't scare me, Croc.
That's concerning, especially because this shit is not that fed. Censored Mercy should absolutely be able to fight him were this to be a regular game, but 20 CS up on him is Disconnector, and that means this Jhin really, he truly does run this lane, although equal in levels right now. He does have to be careful. Slice and Dice is available. Ends up taking Censored Mercy to safety instead as he sees Nausicaa roaming down, clearing out a little bit of that vision. But once again, it will still be Striking Vipers who are coming out ahead in the objectives right now.
Right, and even though they lost some of their members, Striking Vipers have still rotated everybody almost up to the top side of the map while Mercy holds it down in the bottom lane. So you're winning out on the neutral objectives here. And realistically, you're not down a whole lot of gold. Turret plates are still up. If you successfully dive somebody like ShamWow or maybe Drew Dozer in the mid lane, you could take enough plays to be able to take a turret, and that will swing the gold back in your favor and also get you a pretty big advantage no matter where you want to do it. But
This is
oh,
a gank. This is a gank. Vista's in trouble right now as a really nice ult comes down, but an even better one from Sonatic finds a double stun. Vista flashing away and Ignited is going to be able to survive, but not trading back just yet as GFP pops right back into the front, gets a nice kick on Sonatic. He doesn't quite land it onto Vista, and now
here.
Pace has shown up, but Nausicaa from the side is trying the assassination attempt on the Bard as
Is he gonna do
GFP lands the Q on the turret. He's thinking about it, but he ain't gonna take it. He knows that it would bring him to his death.
Oh, man like me would have pressed Q again, Dia, but GFP, he holds it. He realizes that is not the play, but now they can chase. Now they can mess with some of these recalls as Nausicaa likes to do. Yeah, he's just wasting time while GFP just takes away camps. This is what I like to see, though, Dia. Jungler and support, hand-holding, being a nuisance to the enemy team together. That's how it should be.
It looks beautiful right now. It looks like they're very happy together, and I expect them to continue wandering the rift. As right now, I mean, we talked about already, Disconnector really has nothing to fear in this bot lane. He's a split-pushing Jhin all by himself, already rivaling, I wanted to say somebody else on his team, but really not rivaling anybody else on his team. Absolutely still way far and above anybody on Striking Vipers. He does have a little bit of contest in Vista, who's been doing all right in the CS department themselves, but realistically, the gold gap is just massive, and Nausicaa is going to get bigger with a huge Cosmic Binding. Unfortunately, Temper Fate will miss for now, but that by no means means that Striking Vipers can respond, as they've got none of their engaged tools ready.
Yeah, and it means they're not able to make a play for this dragon. And Striking Vipers who wanted to play for the soul are probably not too happy about that one. Okay, Nausicaa, we need to talk. I don't know if you should be there. Okay, I guess he's allowed to be there. It's not a big deal.
Magical Journey is a magical thing. It lives up to its name truly, as Nausicaa, from the jaws of death, is able to pop back into the river, and now towards this dragon that finally ISU have set their sights on. We wondered why they weren't taking the early objectives. We'll wonder no more, because now this Ocean Drake is going to be theirs. Nausicaa's still looking for a little something, and the slows are going to start landing from Disconnector down the lane. Fourth shot not going to make it, but GFP should be able to find the Q. Doesn't get it under the turret just yet. With Stifo coming in from the side, this could be the makings of a Striking Vipers fight. They do get a double shockwave, and the bullet time over. It takes down Nausicaa. Drew is caught without flash right now and very, very low, but nobody's finishing the kill on him. Instead, GFP is the one that's finishing kills in that front line. Well, Disconnector now is forced to tank it up for his team. He's going to be okay. Lands yet another root, and Drew burns that heal to get a little bit of extra movement. Disconnector so low, and he doesn't quite trade back on Vista, but his team's got him, and they end up finishing that one off, continuing to push in the mid wave and playing around, dancing around the Striking Vipers.
Oh, we got a scrappy game on our hands, D. I don't know if the scrap is over just yet. Stifo is very low in the HDP department, and you can tell Drew Dozer is hungry for it. He's throwing those rockets to see if he can get them, but he will be able to recall. And at the moment, I mean, at this point, you've just lost complete control over the map over the last minute and a half to 2 minutes here for the side of Striking Vipers. ShamWow has been doing an excellent job of holding things down on the top lane on his own. You can see him getting better, or rather the better of Mercy in this matchup, and now Mercy, who does not have the dominance, is about to get dived.
Yeah, he should be super dead here. Teleport actually expended even from Stifo. Could bring him to his death as well. Doesn't have that shockwave off cooldown just yet, but GFP playing with respect right now as the Temper Fate hits the turret. GFP still super low, but it could just be ShamWow and Nausicaa against the world.
The flash?
The Shrine comes in for the moment. Stifo's not able to finish off either kill, and ShamWow and GFP escape at sub 100 HP both.
Yeah, ShamWow, we're playing a disrespectful game here. I'm not going to lie. I think you should recall, and thankfully he's going to do just that. Except...
Ult's up now.
Ult's up now.
Ult's up now. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
There it is.
Nausicaa should die. There we go.
Yeah. Bye.
Moment of silence for our Bard, who did, we know, overstay. You called it. It was always going to happen. This is an interesting ult, and it's mostly to back up the teleport that's coming in from behind as well. ShamWow is starting to split the team. However, the numbers just aren't there. A really nice crescendo is going to take ShamWow below half HP. Having expended that hook shot, he's got no ways out, and despite the damage he's able to lay down, a pretty nice, decisive ult is able to put an end to him. Sonatic, I gotta say, very well done.
Yeah, ShamWow really thought that there was only 1 or 2 people on the bottom side of the map, and he capitalized. But one, there was 3 and 2, another on the way with the teleport. So nice play. Answer back from the Striking Vipers. I want to see if we could just get a gold toggle. I'm curious as to where a lot of these gold leads are. I imagine it is mid and top. And wow, yeah, Drew Dozer way ahead, 2,000 over Stevo, and it is ShamWow who is about 1,000 over Censored Mercy. So one of those 2 people needs to not be in an engagement if Striking Vipers, I think, want a chance here, because trying to contest mid-prio against this Corki who's really getting up there in itemization, it's going to be very difficult. Once he gets 2 items, which he's at right now, he's not only very difficult to duel, he's very difficult to fight in terms of wave clear. So I can't imagine Striking Vipers will ever get to the river first unless they get a pick.
Yeah, they're able to constantly keep this push up and roam around the map, finding even more kills, as we're going to see that exact same thing go up in the top lane. Disconnector with a sick kill for us is able to find that kill. As I gotta say, this double support bot lane is working out pretty well. I haven't seen Disconnector really start off with the big damages just yet, but he's been constantly laying down the lockdown, and importantly, using those curtain calls to initiate a lot of team fights. Now finally finding his way to a kill. He's gonna not only have that utility, but a whole bunch of damage to back it up.
Oh, he's really getting up there. Dia must be sitting on a whole bunch of gold, especially because of the turret he just took. Now, we got to play on our hands. Or we did.
Yeah, unlucky crescendo there. Just barely out of range. You call that one a feature and you move on. Just a few seconds until Sonatic's ult is going to be back up. It's a pretty low cooldown for the Sona right now. However, I do find myself wondering about the Accelerando stacks, because that will eventually make her ult a lot shorter of a cooldown, and is already providing some pretty crucial ability haste over to the Sona. We talked about the grievous wounds that need to be picked up on the other side, especially into the later game, and ISU have gone for the confidence, not building any of those just yet.
Yeah, I mean, you're far ahead where it's not much of a problem, and like you said, Sonatic is not really that up there and isn't very far ahead right now. So I don't think the healing is going to be a problem just yet. So I think at this point, you just keep building for damage and try to snowball.
Oh no, the knockout missed as well. Nausicaa is still going to go down, but Drew Dozer is decimating on the other side. And again, this curtain call button, it's much time for the team to catch up. As GFP takes to the front line, the bullet time is going to come back to answer them. But Censored has isolated himself a little bit too far. And ShamWow is going to be able to come in, finish off these last couple kills. Well, GFP goes under the tower. He finally takes that Q, and he would die for it. But the style points beat down.
That's right, and it's all that really matters, Dia. Oh, and the fact that ISU have also taken yet another turret, yet another dragon, and just like that, all the win cons for Striking Vipers are crumbling around them, Dia. That's going to be the second dragon claimed by ShamWow solo, while Shelly is just running it down mid, looking for another charge. This gold lead is just growing and growing and growing, and at this point, who can deal with Drew Dozer unless he oversteps? You saw how impactful that package play was, and unless you get a wombo combo like we saw about 5 minutes ago from Striking Vipers with a lot of their team fighting ults, it doesn't seem like there's going to be a way to be able to actually come out in these 5v5s, unless, again, it really depends on, or even if they do get something good. We talked about Nausicaa and the Bard, how that Tempered Fate can be used to disengage. Like, even if you get what you want, you might not get what you want, Dia. It's terrible.
You usually have it stalled out. I think one of the big things that we haven't talked about just yet, but is the fact that even if you do layer all those ultimates perfectly, Vista can also be stopped by an ult from Nausicaa, although he does seem to be using it, I'll say, a little bit more aggressively. Again, a play is trying to be made in the top lane. It's just him and GFP, though, with both skill shots going behind. That one's going to be put to an end, and Stevo should be able to continue farming in peace. Interestingly enough, however, he does have to give up a lot of the push that he had, and that means, especially for Striking Vipers, giving up lane priority and vision is super impactful at this point.
And you can see all this vision for Striking Vipers right now is on the bottom side of the map. They were trying to set up for that dragon deal before their untimely loss in that team fight. And because all their vision is settled down there, I mean, they want to play for the soul, but dragon's not up for another 4 minutes. You have the Baron to worry about at this point. And with Drew Dozer being past that 2-item mark and working towards that mythic finally, he's going to do a lot of damage. I mean, look at that. He just killed the Renekton off screen.
Stevo might be dead here.
He only lost a little health.
See the play being made right now. Stevo, there we go, flashing away. does have to constantly worry, even behind your tier 2. You are not truly safe. Now with Fnatic and Vista roaming up, there's a chance at some safety and maybe even a team fight win. Recognizing that, ISU will back away once again into the safety of the topside jungle. One would think initially looking at this map, it isn't their topside jungle, but we know that it is.
And I think they're starting to get the hang of it. Oh, the Temper
Nice.
Fate is so good too.
Yeah, that was really sick. A nice crescendo to come back, and a good bullet time to be layered on top of it. Well, does get some damage back, but that magical journey continues to really suppress the quality of any good plays as Dear Vista gets hit and is going to be able to somehow come out alive. On top of that, the Cosmic Binding not doing enough. Nausicaa takes that magical journey, and Censored Mercy's going to follow up, has the backup of
Judos
Haze right
is
now.
here.
Striking Vipers has to win this fight, but
Look at
Corki
the
has just
turn.
arrived, and the damage from these rockets is immense as Disconnector trades one back as well. Shamwell's going to continue chasing under the tower here, looking for Haze, and should be able to get the second proc of the Q that it just decimates.
And that is just brutal for the Striking Vipers. With that, they've lost even more gold, more pressure, and the Baron. At this point, ISU, they are looking to just push for the end here. Spawn timers are a little long. Maybe they won't end it now, but one more fight with this buff is how it's going to be done. We're going to get a replay of the Judozer 1v1, a level up, an item up, and of course, he has exhaust. Man, that doesn't feel fun to play against.
Mercy just doesn't get to play the game. It feels kind of
No.
bad, but like, you know, you're already 50 CS behind as a Renekton, going up against the most fed member of the enemy team, and you get exhausted? You leave that, like, are you joking, man? Leave me alone. Like, let me try.
Yeah. For real, I would actually, I think most players would be like, are you serious? Like,
Yeah.
it'd be so upsetting, infuriating even. But this is how it goes. You want to guarantee your 1v1 victory. You want to instill a little tilt into the enemy top laner. I mean, that's the strat. That's the thing people do, man. They'll all chat and just flame the person who's doing the worst sometimes. It's terrible.
I am really worried, though, if you take a look at the gold charts just at the bottom of the screen,
Talk to
only
me.
300 gold separate Nausicaa and Censored Mercy right now, and there's a
Oh.
very good chance that that dissipates. There's already more than a 10,000 gold lead in the favor of ISU, and if they can just get a few kills onto Nausicaa, they could end with one of the most hilarious endgame states that I've ever seen. GFP thinking about going in right now. This would be a really big pick as Vista is going to get yeeted into the front lines. GFP still alive in that Temper Fate. Gonna buy him even more time as Nausicaa finds another look up a crescendo
Ooh.
to answer back. Still can't take down GFP instead. Cost the life of Stifo as ShamWow now takes to the front lines. ISU do not lose a single member, and instead they take out 4 of Striking Vipers, and with this Baron look to end the game.
Yeah, we're looking at 20 seconds on most members. Censored Mercy does have the dominance, but he's not long for this world.
Somebody
This could be the
exhaust him.
final push. Yeah, again, man, he can't live.
He's like, 4 people for me? Are you serious? I'm in my base, man. Leave me alone. That is not the style of ISU. They're trying to close this one out with the most flair possible. They take the inhibitor for right now and seem like they're going to back off, interestingly. They've
Yeah.
got still pretty low death timers. I suppose I hadn't noticed it was that early into the game, given how far ahead they are.
Yeah, certainly. And oh, can we talk about that here? I
That
would like
rocket was
to-
horrific.
It's not. I don't like that.
That rocket
I
was a
don't-
human rights violation.
Yeah, it was. And now, because of all that pressure, Drew pulls. Look at that. They're pushing the top lane. Inhibs are going down. Drudozer's TPing back in. This could be for the end, Dia.
Vista gonna be think twice about
Oh, the
positioning in range again, but oh my lord, the auto's just landing from Drew Dozer. He takes out, deletes members of Striking Vipers left and right, and Vista, you gotta think carefully. Does still have that bullet time. Cataclysm still available. Drew Dozer's taking the
Oh
front line
my
right
God.
now, but he just takes down Vista inside
He's
of the
still
fountain.
alive?
Nomic is the last one up right now. And that, unfortunately, for all that I love Enchanted support, is not going to be enough to stop the inevitable, to stop the storm of ISU. And I think the question at this point is anything? Is the fountain even?
I'm going to go with yes. Because, you know what? They're still pushing. It doesn't matter. They're just trying to get the kills. It's not about KDA, or maybe it is. But the point is the ISU dismantle, demolish, and destroy Striking Vipers.
Synodic's too tanky. That's it.
Yeah,
that's
it.
That's what I came
He's
away with. That
unkillable.
was, you know, when you remember when I asked you at the beginning of
Mhm.
these games, before we even got into the draft, I said, "Where do you think the pressure points are going to be? Where's the tension on this map?" And you said everywhere.
Yeah.
At that
You
point,
didn't
I
believe
went,
me.
yeah, I went, okay, beatdown. It's kind of a cop out answer, whatever, it's fine. And then I watched this game and I went, oh no, he's absolutely right. That is really, it's interesting how that works. And even from the bot lane where Disconnector was alone half the time, you still had pressure.
Because part of it is because Bard and Oscar like is going to be roaming around the map, especially because of that's what Bard does. It's the chime hunt. If you've ever played with Bard as an ADC, you just know. The thing is too, Sona, yeah, you have some poke, but the damage is still really low in the early game, so you don't have that much to be afraid of. Being able to reliably 1v2 is also like a big driving factor, like we were talking about in the draft. You want to be able to play other lanes and just have your ADC just a handshake farm, although they weren't always handshake farming, I will admit. But the point of the matter is being able to reliably 1v1, 1v2 in some instances so you're able to safely farm is the goal, and Disconnector showed us exactly that. And because of that, that's why Mercy in the top lane showed no mercy, as he was just he was just beaten on, man.
That was
It's
rough.
just the top lane in a nutshell. Like that was just he was just doing his best ravish impression. That's what it was.
I mean, I tell you what, I'm gonna send my prayers to Mercy in between these games, because
Yeah.
we've got just a few minutes. But our analyst desk, however, are going to be the ones to deconstruct that game from their own perspective. Before we do that, we're gonna make a short break. We'll be back with the AD in just a few minutes.
noticed? I drink a lot of sodas when I'm gaming. Might as well drink something that's good for me. Head over to drinkolipop.com and order your favorite flavor.
Discombobulated, destroyed, and absolutely dismantled, in the word of Beatdown Boulevard. I think that's what he said. But point being, ISU brought out game one and made it an absolute thrashing. Because Striking Vipers, you're welcome back to the Dash Ravish here by Rare Adam and Draxter here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm worried about what we are to see next game, because if we get a repeat of game number one, then I do fear for Striking Vipers' chances, because like I know like there is a lot of gusto and moxie on this team. These guys work very hard behind the scenes in terms of their management. They really do care about their product. But like, guys, like Draxter, you were saying this, drafts like this, like there's certain things you got to do, but like this can't happen.
Absolutely. And I think there's two main things you can do as a coach looking at a matchup like this where your team is kind of outclassed individually just based off seeding. You can either go full fighting and just try and flip fights over and over again and hope you win, or go full scaling and hope the enemy team doesn't end the game and you outscale. And it looks like in this game, Striking Vipers kind of did a little bit of both. They had the Renekton, Jarvan in the top side, but they also had the Orianna, Sona on the bot side, and they just weren't able to have either win condition, quote unquote, into the better team, and that really kind of took to their downfall.
Yeah, it was a unfortunate set of circumstances too. And if you are to look towards the overall mid and near end of the game here, Adam, as well, like it's just past a certain point, things just did not work out for them.
Yeah, I think for Striking Vipers, you know, we were talking about it between us. You know, if you're drafting a Renekton or something, you need to try and get that early lead on that champion, and especially when you have, you know, the pressure from something like a Jarvan where you can go top lane, you can look for those ganks, and you have a good gank set up with Renekton, you have to take advantage of that. But we saw that they weren't able to get that lane priority. They got invaded by that Corki as well. You know, the barrier healed Corki. You know, I guess it's just too good. It's too devastating. And from there, we just saw that they weren't able to control their side lanes. They were constantly trying to force into ISU, where, you know, Corki was sitting in a side lane at one point level 16 compared to everyone else on the enemy team being like level 13. Dude just was hyper scaled. And once you get to that point, it doesn't matter what champion you're playing as long as it scales. I guess it does matter what champion you're playing, but you know, the Corki was just way too far ahead, did too much damage.
As one point specifically that I did want to point out here, Draxter, there's a Lee Sin in play that I know you wanted to bring up just to kind of show how this game just completely flipped on its head.
Absolutely. And I mentioned this before the game started, looking very actively to see how ISU stacks up to Proving Grounds level teams and Academy level teams. And just by looking at this gank, it's pretty clear that the communication on ISU is not like quite there. The gank setup is very difficult for the Camille to go into the Renekton based off the Lee Sin's execution. If the Camille kind of pre-plans that and goes in first, burning some of the conditions off the Renekton, Lee Sin can just finish it up, but that communication wasn't there. So one thing that's interesting to look out for is ISU, you know, winning this series 2-0, if it happens, is somewhat expected, but seeing how they're able to do against the other top teams, the Unified, is going to be based on how their execution looks in games like this.
Mm-hmm. That's obviously going to be a huge factor in all this too. Now, I think one way they could possibly change this is to, you know, play champs like that I personally like, you know, just go and bring out like Nasus, like Urgot. You're like, bro, just make me happy. You might as well, like, while you're at it. But all jokes aside, yeah, if we're looking at Striking Vipers right now going into the next game, they need to find a style that they're comfortable with and they know they can easily execute on, right? Now, I try to recommend, you know, just pick every 450 like Blue as a champion, and then because that'll like realistically, that's actually not a bad composition. You have a lot of CC, good, like just overall good lane control, and you're fine. And Soraka's OP, we don't know Wolverine that, right? So I think like things should work out from there. But yeah, just one set style, which should be able to like allow y'all to be able to, you know, scale into late game, or else you want to do, or if not, then take the fight right to ISU whenever you can, however you can, and see if you can go to game number 3. But I will hand it off to my casters, Dia and Beatdown Boulevard, to see what they thought about the game and what we can see going into the next.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the caster desk. I am, of course, Dia, the one on which side of me? This side of me is Beatdown. There we go. That side of me.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
And that's you.
Welcome back. I wonder if we're gonna be swapping sides this time. So we will be popping in the draft soon and get to find out. As I've already had it confirmed by production, Beatdown. We are swapping sides. That's very exciting. And moreover, I wonder what sort of impact that will have. As our analyst desk was asking us, what do we think will change moving into game 2? And honestly, I am just hoping that something really shifts up for the Striking Vipers, because I got really worried about them in the middle of last game. They had a really tough time all across the map, and it does always come back to draft, but in some cases it doesn't always just stem from draft, you know?
I do. And realistically, I think before I even talk about like the draft, I think part of what we talked about going into game 1 after draft was how we need to see some early game activity, and honestly we didn't see a lot of it from the Striking Vipers. So going into game 2, I just want to see them kind of play with what their draft allows them to play with. Okay, you have a pretty strong top lane 2v2, or maybe a potential lane you can dive if you want to pick something like the Renekton, because you do need to get him somewhat ahead so that he actually will be able to successfully side lane, especially against something like a Camille running Ignite TP, very insane duelist if she's not shut down in the early game. Things they just have to be considering, because I'm not seeing a whole lot of playmaking going on. And if that's the case, if you want to hang back, play for front to back, play for scaling, pick for champs who will be strong as time goes on, even if you do fall a little bit behind. I mean, you think about Corki and how much damage Drew Dozer did past a certain point. Who was going to touch him, even in an even game state? From what we saw in game 1, Corki is just nuts.
Yeah, and obviously, Drew Dozer, insane player, is somebody who I would like to see Striking Vipers pay a little bit more attention to. However, I think that the other person that I'd like to see them pay more attention to, rather than the other people, are themselves. Because right now, or rather in the last game, I felt like a lot of their shortcomings were also not recognizing, especially around that top lane that we already talked about, when Mercy was in trouble. When we saw that wave being frozen against him, what ended up really snowballing this Renekton just completely out of the game, it was because his jungler was on the other side of the map, and it was a really good call, of course, from ISU to create a situation where that was possible, to say, okay, we know the dragon is being taken, let's go isolate the top lane. However, there needs to be some sort of response. Striking Vipers can't just get the dragon and have that be that. Their top laner is still in trouble, and whether that means a rotation, whether that means that they all pile into bot lane and try and take that tower, whatever the situation is, I think that being aware of when your teammates need help is something that Striking Vipers left a little bit to be desired in last game.
Yeah, and I agree. I think so far, though, going into this draft, I'm not seeing anything change so far in terms of priority bands in the first phase. It seems to be a lot of the same stuff that people are prioritizing. Some very strong meta champs, some very particular target picks. So I'm curious to see what's going to be prioritized, especially because we're now seeing the side swap come through, like you mentioned, Dia. Striking Vipers on the blue. What are they going to prioritize going into this game? What's a power pick that they can go towards that they can try and mount some kind of attack here? When you think about meta champs, you think about things like Rise is really good. Misfortune, if you can get a better early laning phase for Dear Vista, I think it's not a bad thing for you to grab for yourselves again, something like that.
I wonder if they end up taking the ISU route and trying to get the Camille as well. There aren't a whole lot of champions that just straight up decimate Camille. She can survive a lot of matchups and arguably does quite well in most of them. She offers a lot to your team, but instead of taking her first pick, they're going to ban that away. So potentially, like you said, the other really strong power picks that come in on this patch, I don't expect it to be that Xin Zhao that has been around the jungle recently, mainly because I didn't feel like Striking Vipers were really playing through their jungle last game. They've got a lot of other win conditions that they got to get online, and I would really like to see that rise, to see if Stifo can take the game to Drew Dozer. Instead, though, it'll be the Xayah.
Xayah was actually taken away last game, so this time ISU ban MF, they take the Xayah away. Definitely seen a lot of beneficial patches in the last couple of weeks / months for this champ. A lot of more power given to her. Her early lane phase isn't as terrible as it used to be, and later on, especially with her Q animation changes and stuff like that, it's not a bad pick at all in this current metagame. So I like that. give a better, safe, self-peeling pick for Deer Vista and see if he can kind of go for this hyper carry. But the problem is, though, I think the best hyper carry on the patch has been grabbed by ISU. It is that of Felios, and whether or not they're going to grab a support right away to pair with it just doesn't change the fact that that's a really good pick. Oh, it's the Lee Sin again.
That just feels so good. You mentioned the support pick, and I would have really liked a strong lane for the Aphelios. You can get that later, though. What you can't get all the time is that Lee Sin that GFP looked so good on last game. We had a pretty slow early game for the Lee Sin, all things considered, picking up a kill just around that 10-minute mark. However, even in the late game, I, for one, and I'm sure that Deer Vista as well, am going to have nightmares about the kick that he laid down onto Deer Vista, picking that misfortune all the way out in the late game when it mattered the most. GFP looked really good. He had a lot of pressure, and even though the kills weren't as high, I'm glad to see it picked up again for ISU.
Yeah, it's a strong pick. GFP looking really good so far this series, and I like the Graves as well. Still really strong in that top lane, but it can also be an answer in the jungle too, just playing. But interestingly enough, you mentioned how it doesn't seem like Striking Vipers can play towards the jungle, and that may end up being a bit of an issue if that is Graves jungle, because Graves or Xin, you do want to be able to, even though it's in different ways, play for your jungler so that they can help you get yourself towards a win here. So maybe we'll see that style shift come through from Striking Vipers, or maybe it is Graves in the top side, giving you a strong lane you can consistently get prio in and play through.
Yeah, the flexibility of that champion really important for Striking Vipers as they depart from the first phase of the draft, especially because they're going to have at least one counter pick available to them. Disconnect are going to be selecting his own lane next, and with already both the bot lanes locked in, theoretically the junglers, you're going to be revealing at least one lane here. I really like for Striking Vipers the fact that they are able to play the draft at the very least this way. We'll find out how much it actually nets them, as they are going to only get one counter pick off that and have to give up yet another one to whom has yet to be determined, but it's going to be a solo lane, and that already makes me sweat.
Yeah, it is going to be pretty beneficial. I think it's interesting too, because Disconnector and Nusko were actually bot laners that I saw play a lot of Cape Morg when it was very popular as a bot lane duo. So I'm curious to see if that's actually, well, it can't be a route they go to right now because they did pick up Felios, but I still think that gives you just a lot of bot lane pressure, because one, that Black Guild being able to basically deny a lot of what Rakan wants to do in the early lane phase, and the fact that you offer a lot of range damage as well, means laning phase, once again, going to be in favor of ISU's bottom lane. And if I just look overall, Drew Dozer, like, it worked so nice, why not run it twice? Seeing the Corki again, I think would be perfectly fine here with everything we've seen so far. A double marksman means so much damage is coming through later, Dia. So much.
I really like that since we're in the playoffs right now, that ISU have just decided that they're not going to show any strats if they don't have to. They're going with essentially the same composition, but they are going to be challenged in a very different way, as that Aurelia, a potential now counter pick even in this mid lane against Corki, can get on top of him really well, and can honestly murder this guy if Drew Dozer oversteps, but there must be that one condition on it.
Oh, wait, but if it's the Yasuo, then it's probably Irelia top?
That's tough to
right?
say. It depends.
Unless we see a Nar top, I doubt it. So we know it's Graves jungle. That I can say with certainty. We haven't seen the lock-in. I just realized, so I'm baiting myself. Okay, it's Lux mid. So we're going ranged into range. Okay. It does give you 8 magic damage in the profile, which was honestly sorely lacking up until literally this point. But oh my god, Dia. You have the R5 Malphite.
This is nice. I like the R5 Malphite specifically in this case because it lets you access that backline in such a juicy way. Shamlan should have the time of his life. However, we do need to be worried about that backline, and Nausicaa and GFP are both going to be, weirdly enough, definitely needing to peel Censored Mercy unless they can give this Aurelia as hard of a time as they gave the Renekton.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me with all the movement we saw from Nausicaa affecting every other part of the map and being able to, like you said, add a lot of that pressure with GFP. I think we can see it happen, especially because, again, even if Mercy tries to make the outplay with that flawless duet, again, Black Shield won't get stunned, can keep dishing up the damage, and it's just going to make that a lot harder for Mercy to be able to do. I'm really interested to see how this top lane matchup will go, but I think overall the Malphite is so nice too, because you got a lot of squishy targets, Tia.
You
Even
really,
a full
really
tank
do.
Malphite, even full tank will do a lot of damage. So it's really scary. And if he, for some reason, decides to pull the fudge and just go AP Malphite like Everfrost Zonia's, oh God.
Yeah, that would be really nasty.
Yeah.
I'm wondering right now. We see an interesting lock-in right there. Okay, I want to see this corrected. There we go. I was pretty worried about Vista being the one to pilot the Aurelia, and I was getting really nervous for a second, having to talk up what Aurelia Rakan bot lane would do. But with the corrections here, you can see that it will still be a bot lane that favors ISU. And let's talk about the lanes that actually go which way, because I think ISU should have a pretty decent bot lane when it comes to the skirmishes. However, maybe getting pushed in. Mid lane might be the same story, especially with that Lux. And really, the only lane that I think ISU should have the push in is potentially that top lane with GFP. It gives them a lot less priority early on. It puts a lot more pressure on them to move around. Am I getting the right read?
I think so. The only thing I will contend with you with is that bottom lane. I think push is going to go Disconnector and Nausicaa's way pretty easily. And the mid lane thing, I think you're right. It's going to be volatile. It can definitely go Steefo's way. It can definitely go Drew Dozer way. I think the thing worth noting too is we could see the barrier heal star come through again with the Unsealed Spellbook. A lot of early laning power available once again to this Corki, so that Drew Dozer can push the early level too. But I think that won't matter as much as long as Steefo does not disrespect, because in the early parts of the game did not recognize the level 2 was coming through, and he got punished for it. So if he plays it early on, he can, like you're saying, get the better of this mid lane matchup, and it can actually go better for them, because Graves, he likes prio lanes because he wants to be able to, one, farm without having to worry about being invaded, especially for his first 2 clears, and 2, being able to contend for these scuttle crabs. Any gold he can get in his pocket, any extra gold, much appreciated.
I wonder if he's actually going to be able to farm without being invaded, because just last game, I mean, Hayes already had a difficult time. You remember that pathing from GFP was aggressive, but we're going to get the chance to find out right now as we hit the rift for our second game of the day. Will Striking Vipers find a game here, take down the favorites, or will ISU send themselves on in the playoffs off the back of a 2-0?
It's going to be tough. ISU have all the pieces to be able to do so. We talked about how nice, especially this Malphite for ShamWow, is kind of complementing this composition. I think Striking Vipers, if they can avoid that unstoppable force, can look pretty good in some of these team fights. Disturbing amounts of damage later on. I mean, and we talk about, even though we see Aphelios and Corki, Xayah, Graves, they get up there in damage once the itemization comes through as well. So if you can dodge that initial knock-up, I think you can do a really good job at kiting it out. When you think about champs like Rakan, Xayah, Lux, Graves, all very happy to kite. I think it's just Mercy who gets hung out to dry once again as a champ who would really rather go forward.
Yeah, this one is going to be rough. However, we've got still an interesting start for... We've still got an interesting start for ISU as they end up having some vision laid down on them, but GFP starting on the top side may do the same thing as he did last game and go that buff into buff to try and get an angle on Hayes early on. It'd be up to Steefo to try and stop that with some nice mid lane priority to roam around, protect his jungler, give him that extra little bit of safety.
This time around, it's going to be Drew Dozer going with the cleanse. Oh my God, we have the 1v1 already?
Okay, good heal. That was a really nice heal. I was starting to get worried about Nausicaa there. The flashes were potentially going to be used, especially from Synotic. Vista already having used his, though, and the exhaust as well, is drawing GFP to the bot lane. He's only cleared 1 camp so far, and he shows him the bot lane to go, hey, any free kills for me?
And it's not a big deal, too, when it comes to, like, the time for his clear, because if you look... Like, he's going to go for red, blue Gromp anyway. So I think he's fine to just take that detour, get his lane a bit of his laners some pressure. And once he gets level 3, maybe he looks again, because the HP is not looking great for Vista and Synotic right now.
No, that ward's not going to be around forever. Already, you know that Disconnector and Nausicaa did pull the lane to themselves, so you have Vista and Synotic forced to walk up here, and with the Black Shield going down, and Nausicaa finding some damage, he's going to lose the first blood, but there may be 2 kills in it for the side of ISU. Chasing Synotic right now, they're not going to be able to get this kill instead. Hayes might be getting a kill, and GFP commits into no vision, and he's going to get taken down with a knock-up from Synotic. 2 kills go to the bot lane of Striking Vipers.
And if you're watching, Hayes knows that Lee Sin had both buffs rather, and haven't gone for the Grump. He can go for the invade if he wants to after taking the scuttle, or he can just go for this double scuttle into the reset, maybe gank mid and transition. There's a lot of options here for Hayes, and honestly, a bit of a blunder coming through from the side of ISU, just kind of losing things out in the early parts there of the skirmish. But Disconnector getting a kill is nice. Being able to get something in his pocket makes it, it alleviates it a little bit more.
We're going to take a look at how that one happened as we only caught the back end of it. Nausicaa going forward to try and find that Dark Binding. Didn't quite work out, but I think still, ultimately, like you said, with the kill on Disconnector, makes him feel happy. This was the big misstep, though.
Yeah, you didn't need to go into this one. You're 1 for 1. Everything's fine. No flash engage available for Rakan as well. We're cool with that. We take those, but he ends up going in for it. And I think the only real priority lane for Striking Vipers is what we're looking at right now. Mercy, level 5, a level up. No dive available because Hayes isn't there. But I mean, look at it. He hasn't actually gone for the recall. He just double scuttles. He's getting the camps resetting rather. And he's just going to recall with a buttload of gold.
Sonotic could look for a knock-up right now. We know that Black Shield is available with the bot lane push going over towards them. You talked about the Graves into Lee Sin, especially after that initial death from GFP, though, and I do want to take a chance to check in, see that CS has indeed taken off, as has in the top lane. Censored Mercy winning the matchup just ever so slightly against ShamWow. It's just pushed the wave into the turret. Everything is emotionally even, but it really is inside of that jungle that things are dispersing in the favor of Striking Vipers. We've got a small pause, though, as I'm sure ISU are reevaluating their game plan and likely revisiting their specs, as most often technical difficulties are the reason.
Right, and last thing, I want to talk about the last thing we saw. Again, Judozer, whenever he's able to get that wave shove, he is going for these invades, setting up vision, stealing camps away from Hayes, and I like how he consistently has been doing this. I mean, it does help a little bit considering how far behind GFP has fallen, and overall, it's just a thorn in the side of junglers who want to power farm and get a lot of things done.
You get 1.5 players, you get a mid laner and half a jungler just going in there, constantly applying a little bit more hurt. We do have a play being set up in the bot lane, and as pauses do tend to go, we get a little bit of lag afterwards to give us that nice cinematic view. However, it's not going to work out as GFP reconsiders the path once again, and I believe it's going to be spotted on some vision on his way out. Hayes is making his way down to the bot lane, and now
He hasn't recalled yet.
GFP can't be wanting to seriously go for these kills. He picks one up, trades one back. Hayes has made his way in, and Disconnector has to flash away. GFP committing so much time to the bot lane to try and get them a good reset. Will do so, but at a pretty big cost.
Yeah, you do end up losing out on a kill from your support, but I mean, overall, he still hasn't recalled, so the damage certainly was not there. And, hi.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back.
Hey. You know what I didn't get to mention that was kind of like on my mind since we went live? I was wearing a pink hoodie before I changed into this. I know. And I saw that and I was like, that's lame.
Oh my
I know.
god, it's
We were this
tragic.
close.
We could have
Okay, thank God. We don't have to talk about clothes anymore. We're back.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if we're talking about clothes, that conversation with me is going to be pretty darn short. I own this hoodie, some college shirts, and that's
Nice.
what I wear. However, ShamWow with a really nice knock up into the tower is going to
Oh my
absolutely style. That guy is. I don't know what he's wearing right now, but I know that he's wearing some dancing shoes.
That's right. And got to watch out for Mercy's TP, but overall, really nice play from ShamWow. And again, the roam from Nausicaa, like we were talking about and expecting going into the second game, have come to fruition. And Mercy, he is not feeling good about that one. I promise you that. You may not believe me somehow,
He's
but
thinking about it. He's thinking about it.
no, he can't. Oh,
wants
dude.
it.
I'm gonna ask you something. I always ask friends when something like this happens in League.
Okay, I'm ready.
Scale 1 to 10. How pissed is he?
How pissed is he?
Oh my God, yeah.
I
Give me a
think he's
number.
like a 6 right now. You know, like
Yeah.
he still theoretically gets the freeze. He forces the TP, so he's like even.
True.
But
Yeah.
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I'm really glad that we know. And oh God, we have a fight.
GFP, a level down right now, does have a little bit more backup than Censored Mercy may have been expecting. Drew Dozer also going to be able to get out over the wall with some nice usage of the Blast Cone. So the invade does go well for ISU, and they got out one red buff richer. However, GFP could once again be walking into no
my
vision
God.
against Taze, and is definitely paying for it as a nice flash takes him to safety, doubling down with the mobility of that Lee Sin, but he's not safe just yet as Hayes is still looking for him. Mercy is doing the same, but with another safeguard over the wall, he's going to take himself all the way out, leaving Drew Dozer to the Wolves. ShamWow still waiting for that cooldown, doesn't have flash, doesn't have ult, and likely won't have his health bar at the end of this play. A double kill gets picked up for Censored Mercy, and Striking Vipers is starting to take off. Maybe this isn't the 2-0 that was expected coming into the night.
Maybe not. Some extra kills on your AD carry. And of course, on what we just saw into Censored Mercy, your top laner is fantastic. Because now this Irelia is going to be the side lane problem. And when we think about side laning, who's really going to deal with, or it might be Drew Dozer if he manages to pull ahead like he did last game and swap one of his summoners out for the exhaust. But even then, all that's sustained, it is really hard to say, especially if Mercy continues on with this lead. And we have a gold lead overall in favor of the Striking Vipers. Oh, wait.
Care package, yeah. Sonotic looking
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
low right now. He gets that nice shield, though. Gonna be able to get out alive. Steepo, maybe not so lucky. GFP doesn't have the flash anymore, but he finds
kicked him!
sick kick right into the face of Steepo. The Sonotic comes in from the back line. Again, finding the pick onto Drew Dozer. It's up to GFP to continue making this play worth it. Unfortunately, it just is not going to be. That's going to be, what is that? 2 kills gone now from ISU in the top side, but they do get 2 in response. One on the top side and one on the bot lane, as Vista did end up going down.
Oh, wow. I mean, look at what's going on here for Mercy. Already has the Blade of the Rune King. First item before anyone else. Not a mythic, still a big problem. Irelia, essentially full build, as everybody likes to say, once the that Bork comes through. And you see the Null Magic Mantle as well. Mitigate some of the damage coming through from Drew, from Nausicaa. And my God, dude, like, it's so hard. You can't skirmish on the side of the map anymore. Thank your stars. Mercy doesn't have TP at the moment here. And just focus on playing bot. Disconnector picks up a lot of turret plates. You can see he's ahead in gold. Just look at the itemization between these 80 carries. And you just hope that you can play around these dragons, around the bot side. Especially now you have an opening. Vista and Sonotic are pushed in.
Yeah, Nausicaa's coming in right now, and GFP is ready for the play with the Dark
flash.
Binding going, well, not quite hitting anything. It's going to be rough, and Sonic Wave doing exactly the same. We still got the Ward Hop. We've still got that kick available, but no flash, no reposition. Sonotic still gonna end up going down under the tower as just slowly, methodically, ISU take lives. And they might be able to get out with theirs as well. No skill shot's going to be able to land from the side of Steepo. Means no CC, means no kills. ISU continue on the path forward, looking for this first tower.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. The HP bars aren't in the greatest spots, especially with the Moonlight Vigil used. Oh, God, and look who's here, Steepo. I don't think they know that Pink Ward was already there. Final Spark is available, too, so this is it's a little dangerous, but I think they want this. Yeah. Especially with that kick being available, maybe we'll see a Ward Hop kick onto Vista once more.
We haven't quite got that flash up yet. GFP would have to pull off some serious styling off the back of a landed Q, but Disconnector, holy moly, even getting this played is really nice. And as the Sonic Wave is going to go wide once again, as will the Dark Binding, it just buys time for ISU to back away. No support coming in for Striking Vipers bot lane anymore, though, as already the team has moved on. They've moved on to bigger and better things. Censored Mercy, I think, mainly is the person that everybody wants to hang out with right now. Support this Aurelia, get yourself ahead in the processes. Wave going to start hitting the tower right now, and I want to check in with those gold graphs, see what the gold gap is between Censored Mercy and the top side. Before we do that, we're going to take a look at the bot lane one more time.
Man, they really want to make this one work. Diaz, so much time being spent, but you got to be careful. The HP is getting low. Psionic is level 6, so it has access to the quickness, and you can charm both, or you can go to charm both because there's only one black shield available for Nausicaa, and if Disconnector and him are not careful, they will be in trouble here. Now they've shoved this next wave. Now it looks like they've made this go long enough that Dragon has spawned, but of course, the response, because you know the Lee Sin is far, far away from this turret right here.
ShamWow's just going to have to ult right past Hayes here. He has the flash as well, but waiting too long would have killed him. And it's nice that we see that ult come through a little earlier rather than later. Still, though, losing first tower in the face of all the time you committed bot lane, that one hurts.
Oh,
and it's going to be hurting even more. Disconnector gets a sick black shield, but he still has to flash away, and he's still going to go down as Nausicaa is just barely able to answer back. Landing in another nice route, though. It will still be ultimately both bot laners falling for the Striking Vipers, but they clap back.
And you know what? Because of all the skirmishing going through and the fact that they're also going to get another tower, ISU have essentially caught up in gold. They've managed to stabilize themselves a little bit here, Dia, and we can see it if you look at the gold difference, only 500 gold. At this point, Drew is in a bit of trouble, but the Valkyrie does allow him to just recall in safety. He doesn't have the teleport right now. He has the flash up and available, but this turret going down is going to be that equalizer that I was referring to. And with this connector preventing these plates going through with his roam mid, I think we're in a good spot if you are ISU.
Yeah, you know what worries me, and what I think speaks to your point right there, is that it's a 4-1 Aurelia in the top lane. However, the gold is dead even right now. So if Aurelia's got all this gold piled up on her, hit that item first, and still the gold across the teams is even, there are some pretty tangible advantages elsewhere on Drew Dozer and Disconnector.
That's right. So even though Mercy is very strong at the moment, it is going to be more impactful because of how these comps work in the side lane. And I mean, if he splits effectively, that could be good. Oh my god.
That was a huge, that was absolutely massive. Nice turret auto there. Even better kick on Censored Mercy as well. Is just disgusting. And the ult forward this time from ShamWow. The package even. ISU are hungry. They smell blood, and Sipo was not enough to sate them. Instead, they want this mid lane tower, and they want it bad. They don't have kick. They don't have CC of any kind, really, especially with that binding going wide. Instead, they're the ones that are going to get CC. They overstep in a big way, and Censored Mercy is able to go huge, picking up 1 kill, 2 kills, make it a third as ISU, they just overextend in a massive way.
Yeah, that is really bad. ShamWow doesn't not only does he not have ult, he's not even part of this engagement. So overforcing this turret really was not the play. You thought you had the numbers, you think you have the wave, but you're forgetting how strong Mercy is. And getting that 6 setup from Cyanotic means it's really easy for this Irelia to just clean it up. Vista's here for 1 shutdown and 1 shutdown only, and he's still definitely happy about that. And just like that, Striking Vipers find themselves back in the lead here and in control of this game so far.
Even more of that gold, however, has gone to Mercy, and he's got to be the one to 1v9 this game. 100% absolutely. This Aurelia is your win condition, and you need to be babysitting her like your life depends on it. Throw those words in the top side jungle. Group her up with the team. I don't care how you do it, but make use of the fact that she is massive right now.
Yeah, and by some grievous wounds.
Also
like very, very quickly. I mean, I see the amp zone for Nausicaa. Could be possible that he's going to go for the Chemtech Putrefier so he can apply grievous wounds and allow anyone he black shields to also do the same. Yeah, that's just absolutely necessary at this point because of how much healing Censored Mercy is going to do. He's finished the second item before anyone else. Once again, he's just hitting all these milestones and is so strong right now, especially with teleport up and available. But I like this bush play we're seeing. No one is aware.
Where'd they go?
Because nobody's there. Because there's nobody's there.
As soon as that went into the bush, I was like, hold on, I'm the one that's been bamboozled here.
So we got juked, I guess.
Nausicaa going to be able to land another Dark Binding. Doing pretty well with these on the whole, I'd say.
Yeah.
And control and vision rather well. The plays, though, largely are revolving not around those bindings, but instead around ShamWow's ultimate that now has to be the catalyst for the start of team fights. Drew Dozer hanging up at the top side, clearing waves against Censored Mercy. Can only live for so long, but as Rift Herald gets thrown down in the mid lane, ISU should be able to answer that one nicely enough. They've got a really good team fight set up for now. And even with that Dark Binding going wide, ShamWow's coming in on the side.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting too, because we see Drew Dozer go for the reset. Censored Mercy pushes his top wave, and he's going to be able to walk down for this fight if he really wants to, or he can just pressure this tier 2 in exchange for the Drake and allow them to continue holding on to their lead. I think that's the play that both sides are fine with, because you see Drew Dozer, he's walking over. He would much rather get this second dragon here, but they are going to fall behind a good amount of gold because of it, and I like this from Striking Vipers. They don't care about drag, it's the second one. They're just going to take this turret, and I think that's a fine trade.
They lose 2 towers for it, though, and a lot of pressure does go to the Striking Vipers. I am a little bit worried now, honestly. Even seeing the 4-1 Aurelia, when I saw that gold even up, I was like, nope, that's fine. And ISU should still have this. Now, with the loss of towers starting to really impact them here, with the gold continuing to depart and stay in Striking Vipers' favor, I do get more and more worried for the side of ISU and whether they'll actually be able to clap back. Let's take a look at those gold graphs, though, because we were talking about how things were surprisingly even. 4,000 gold in the favor of Censored Mercy, but where else is that going on the other side?
I mean, nowhere else. That entire lead is on Striking Vipers. The entire Striking Vipers lead is on Censored Mercy. So if he's on the split and ISU get a good 4v4, they're essentially even when it comes to these fights. But I mean, the way Censored Mercy has been playing with them in these team fights tells me I don't know if that's actually something ISU are going to play for. At this point, whatever lane Mercy is in is going to be perma push. They have him bought so they can play to him and take out this last outer turret as well. So right now, ISU do need to hang back, wait for these key item spikes that they're getting pretty close to. 2 for Drew Dozer coming up really soon. 2 for Disconnector, not too far behind last time I checked. And then I think they'll be in a little bit more of a comfortable place to fight. But again, if you can't deal with Mercy in these 5v5s, I think it doesn't matter. He's just so strong, sustains so much.
You can't deal with him in the 5v5s. You can't deal with him in the side lane. Right now, ISU are struggling for answers. The Sonotic going to get a nice charm and ultimately force a huge ultimate from ISU. ShamWow not having access to that means that ISU can't start a fight anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, luckily there isn't anything major to play for just yet. We're looking at 30 seconds for the Dragon. Oh, wait a second.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, wait a second. Steve-O going low. Going to be able to survive this one. He's going to look for that steal with the ultimate, though. And oh my god, he almost gets Drew Dozer. Finally actually able to pick up that blue buff. But it is a game of inches in the most crucial way beatdown.
And it is, and now we have Baron being the only objective to really play towards here. And of course, like I was saying, Mercy, whatever lane he's in is just completely shoved. ShamWow doesn't quite have the ultimate just yet, but is waiting for a potential TP opportunity, maybe, so that he could join some of these fights. Like, he's so far behind in gold. The only thing he really needs to do is be able to press R, and that's why the pressure Striking Vipers have put on him is very impressive and very impactful. Because like you said, Dio, big ultimate hasn't been available for some time because it's either been forced out earlier before the fight, or it's a position where Striking Vipers can avoid it.
I remember the flash ult in the mid lane didn't exactly go their way, and this probably won't either. ShamWow wants to try and take this fight. He's got back up on the way, but he might go down before then. Ult is going to come in. Mercy flashes over the wall. He's feeling last game, though, as he does get exhausted. Drew Dozer now going to be able to depart over the wall as well, and that pick ends up resulting in nothing as Nausicaa plays middleman on the backside of all of that. For all that commitment, ISU don't get too much of anything, and instead, Steve-O going to be able to shove in the top wave, still struggling for an answer to this Aurelia.
Yeah, oh, wait, we got to play?
We thought about it. Nice force on the ultimate, and now the response going to come in. Sonotic gets that knockup. Nausicaa ignited for right now. Censored Mercy coming in on the side as the snipe comes through. Nausicaa gives up his life for the greater good. So net -1 for ISU there. Give up a little bit more pressure, and now they've given up the Baron as well. As you can see the pinks coming down from Striking Vipers. This could be their crucial overextension.
Yeah, maybe the Baron take is really good for Striking Vipers, but GFP is playing Lee Sin. He's a tough champion to keep out of that Baron pit. A clutch steal is all they can hope for, but it's actually a bush play, Dia. Look who has to face check.
Disconnector gets a really big Moonlight Vigil, though, into the backline and already blows up multiple members. GFP, going low right now, is facing off against Censored Mercy, and it's a 2v4 in the grand scheme of things, where ISU once again are going to have to back away, but crucially, they stop that Baron from going down and might have an angle on the Dragon themselves. That comes up in just 30 seconds.
Yeah, it is a 1-for-1, but although Hayes is already reset and is on his way back, it could be a dragon for ISU, but something Striking Vipers have to not allow to go through because it's going to be the sole point here, the Ocean Soul. A big way for ISU to swing themselves back into this game here, Dia. And they know that, but they don't want to walk into Fog, it seems. ShamWow does have ult back up. He has TP. He can be part of this fight. Maybe Striking Vipers let this go. Maybe they try to contest it. All of their key ultimates, except for the quickness, is up and available. Do they want to fight for it is the question.
Sonata gonna have to be careful here. If he gets hit by one of those dark bindings in the presence of anyone else, he would get blown up. And Nausicaa's been on his own a whole lot recently, and it's up to ShamWow to lead the charge. Binding gonna come in, chunk him out a little bit, as he does not have any magic resistance built up. But that dragon is long gone, as Hayes, not even in the front line right now, is the one taking it down. A nice kick is gonna land, taking Censored Mercy, however, to safety. And the quickness might take Sonatic in. Has that flash for a tricky engage. And instead, it is ISU that are being put into a corner. Black Shield has to be expended. Sonatic sees his angle, goes into the backline, finds the double charm, and the ultimate from Lux over the top is going to do this. ShamWow ends up going down, and still, Censored Mercy continues pressuring forward. Now going to be pushed back. Here's the Moonlight Vigil, finds it. But
there's the binding
for them. Sonatic eventually going down as Cleanse comes through for Drew Dozer. GFP going low is going to be able to survive. The minions not able to take him down. Nausicaa continues to land the binding, but Drew is taken down over the wall, and Censored Mercy is unleashed. Nausicaa in danger, and Disconnector soon to follow is going to go down to this Aurelia, but he picks it up in the end, finding the huge shutdown. 1,000 gold goes to Disconnector, but they lose 4 people in the process.
Okay, I said that's worth, but if they can take the Baron, it is a lot less worth. GFP, again, can potentially steal if he wants to play for it, but maybe the HP values aren't what Striking Vipers are hoping for, and the Baron is not coming through. You're kind of happy with how that one went down. I want to give props to ShamWow for immediately, when the quickness comes through, he immediately goes for the ult to buy time. I think that's the main reason why things didn't go as terribly as they could have, but still terrible because Striking Viper is now up 4k gold. Even though Disconnector gets 1,000 gold in his pocket, really only allows him to get to his second item. Yeah, real quick, how many items does Mercy have?
Let me take a look. Mercy has 1, 2, 3. Are we calling that 3.5 with the boots?
3.5 with the. I mean, we're counting the page too. So I think 3.5 is pretty fair.
I like it. Maybe 3 and 3. This is deadly Aurelia right now. And wait, are there grievous wounds? Yes, there are.
There are.
Okay.
There are grievous wounds. Yes, I see the Executioner on Disconnector, so that is good. Probably a big part of why he found success in that very tight matchup. But overall, I think what we said earlier still kind of holds true. All the gold is on Mercy. If you somehow take him down, if he's somehow not part of the fight that you start, ISU's chances are good. Besides that, Striking Vipers, they are in a really good spot right now, and I like how they've been playing the map with their incredibly fed Aurelia. Have him push out the sides and just have him walk in. More often than not, he's not forced to teleport. He can keep that and use it to his advantage later on when someone like ShamWow or Drew has to use his.
I will say, however, because it's so hard to kill ShamWow in the side lane, even for Censored Mercy, as fed as he is, a full tank Malphite is putting up some problems. Are you going to run into even more of them as Striking Vipers because of the pure amount of time that is passing where you're not able to take these towers, where Disconnector and Drew Dozer are getting gold?
That's a good point. A lot of these outer towers, a lot of gold is available here to ISU to be able to take. And speaking of gold, oh, that's a good stopwatch, actually.
Yeah, Nausicaa's got some real fancy feet there. Going to be able to get out with the flash. Unfortunately, having to expend that extra bit of summoner is, even on this Morgana, even a squishy character in the face of a fed Aurelia, he's been doing pretty well controlling vision, I can't lie.
Right, and I mean, now because of this play, you also have an opening. No ultimate on Cynotic. If you're tracking the flash timer, that's not available either. You could actually find a window where ShamWow goes in with that unstoppable force. Maybe ISU finally get the fight that they're looking for here. You can see Drew Dozer has really been farming things up. He's 222 CS most in the game, and he's really coming up there. That's 3 items for this Corki. We saw what that did last game, and he's going to be the main hope here for ISU.
Yeah, this time we just gotta pray that it's enough, right? Last time we were looking at going, he's a god, and now we're looking at him going, are you at least a man that can take a fight?
Oh,
Because
God.
in the face of this Aurelia, things are looking grim. About to hit level 16 already. 2 levels up on his lane opponent, highest in the game. This is a monster of an Aurelia about to put them on soul point as well, as Striking Vipers will have that for themselves in the next 30 seconds unless ShamWow can find this ult, unless you can take down Censored Mercy. Now the binding is going to land, but are they going to commit to this?
Package
In
play.
goes GFB, and he ends up finding Censored Mercy,
I like
taking a
this.
blow, but he's not dead just yet. Is this enough? As Dear Vista ends up getting a really nice
Oh,
pull.
man, he's
Taking
trying.
GFP low again. Vista's going to be ushered right out. 17 seconds on this Dragon.
Oh, the
Mercy
kill!
Gonna reset. Synotic goes down, but your Aurelia will be back, and she will be full HP to fight this out.
Still, you have the Moonlight Vigil, you have plays to make, and Aurelia's not here just yet.
Drew, oh my lord, Dear Vista, going massive right now, does end up being taken down by ShamWow. Very nicely done with the burn, but Censored Mercy back in it is going to have to fight this one out. Red-White, however, on Disconnector is a massive source
Look
of
at the
DPS.
damage,
Censored
Drew
Mercy's going to
Dozer.
be chewed through right now. Disconnector
Oh, he
takes
wins
that
it.
fight massively. Drew Dozer, Styles in the backside, and just when they need it, ISU play the fight perfectly.
Beautiful split of the fight. Breaking it into small skirmishes from ISU means they get to have their cake and eat it too, Dia. That's soul point. That is the Baron in their hands. And we're going to take a look at this replay here. See how it's split up. Drew Dozer putting pressure on this Rakan, on this Lux. So the engage that have been causing a lot of the fights to go Striking Viper's way isn't the case, because you don't have that grand entrance. You don't have that ultimate coming through from the Rakan, the quickness to be able to get it done. And because of that, at this point, you have the numbers. Drew Dozer being at 3 items, like we talked about, was such a big deal for them as well.
I wonder. I want to see Drew Dozer, because I was focusing so much on Censored Mercy in his fight right here that it kind of distracted from the glory of this Corki being able to field out the Lux for right now. That certainly could have shifted the fight in the opposite direction. Drew Dozer goes on the 1v2. What a massive player! And after finding the initial pick as well, I got to hand him my MVP of the fight, because everybody else did well. Censored Mercy died, but Drew Dozer is on a whole other level.
Yeah, dude, it's just everybody on ISU playing that fight very, very well. And because what happened, they do pick up the Baron buff. You can see it on them. Now they have control of this gold lead. It might be minor, but again, Mercy has a giant lead, and that is the big reason Striking Vipers were ahead. And now that they have started to fall behind, ShamWow is probably feeling in a lot more of a comfortable spot, I'll say, because the items are coming through, the armor is there. ShamWow, he's not taking any damage from 80 carries, but he's going to damage Nausicaa.
That's so
He's okay.
crazy. That Black Shield almost goes down, though. Like, this Lux is really laying out the DPS. But you know who else is? It's our friend in the bot lane,
Yep.
Drew Dozer, taking another tower, continuing to stack this gold up for ISU, making use of the Baron as the rest of the team plays for vision control right now. ShamWow's going to get rooted up, but more
He's just
importantly,
going in.
he's rocketing into the front line, letting Drew and GFP pick up the kills. Well, in the back line, Censored Mercy's trying to find that flank right now. He wants Drew. He wants him bad, but he cannot walk into 4 members.
Yeah, and it's tough now. Mercy not able to go for the fight. The Vanguard's edge missing means the outplay is basically
Oh,
no
no.
longer available. He is not long for this world. And again, the final spark will miss. This could be SVC's final breath, Dia, as the Baron buff is here. We're 40 seconds on Mercy, the strongest player on Striking Vipers. They could look to end this on the next wave.
Another really nice binding from Nausicaa there as well to actually complete that pick. This Morgana has definitely proved its worth and will continue to, as it's applying so much pressure right now, allowing ISU to step up to this tower, throws out the Dark Binding, ends up getting Stifo in it as well. And another tower going to go down. Inhibitors now exposed into lanes against a Baron is not how you wanted to be ending this one as
Unstoppable
Striking
force.
Vipers, but this is how you want to end it as ISU finding the ult, finding the pick onto the AD carry. They can continue the power play when they were going to back off.
That's right, and it's just the over chase, and ShamWow gets the opportunity with that ultimate here. SVC facing the end of their run here at the UPL, as not only are 2 inhibs exposed, Dia, they're about to lose 2, potentially a 3rd, as they're all going down in almost complete synchronous. This could be the end
Watch Censored Mercy right now. He's got to be the one to make this play. Finds Nausicaa, but the binding finds him as well. The CC is too long, and instead it's Sonotic that goes into the back line to find that charm.
Damage.
Not netting them any kills, though nobody can follow up. Through ShamWow
Moonlight
right now,
Vigil.
and the Moonlight Vigil explodes as Censored Mercy will do the same. ISU come back against a godlike Irelia, send themselves to the quarterfinals, knowing that they caught the confidence to take this one. The Rockets piling in here. ShamWow looking for another ult. They are flying high here as they know that their next challenge lies in front of them. The Super Sunshine Fruit Basket Warriors are their next opponents.
Oh, what an insane comeback in game 2 from ISU. You got to give some credit from Striking Vipers, though. They really showed up in the second game in the series, but still an excellently played fight from ISU. And just them snowballing towards the end off of that means there was just no chance. They played that extremely well from that point on. Like you said, despite the incredibly fed Irelia in Mercy, and they managed to just come together in the end to win it out. I hope the analyst does breaks down that fight in particular, because that was insane.
That I want to break down that fight. I want to take a look, just
I know.
watch it
We
again
can't-
and
we don't
again.
get
It was so amazing. I want to say I think a really big part of this as well was allowing room for Drew Dozer. That Malphite, that Malphite R5 that we talked about in the draft that we kind of memed about, honestly, because Malphite R5 feels kind of weird. Like, ended up actually being really impactful, because if you pick an Irelia, if you pick a Darius, if you pick a Camille, if you pick some sort of bruiser into this matchup and it goes that much in the favor of the Irelia, you straight up lose.
You're
But
out of the
because you're
game.
full tank Malphite, Drew Dozer was able to pick up so much gold. Disconnector was able to pick up the same in the mid lane, and in the end, it really, really mattered as those guys were hammering through with their autos.
That is true. Drew Dozer did get to catch a lot of these sideways, because, like, at this point, how likely is it that Malphite is catching up to this Irelia? Not very. So that's why we see the CS lead grow in Drew Dozer's favor, and we saw things turn on a dime once he got that third item. And how much damage he was able to do. Like, we saw that 1v2. Like, it is unreal how much damage this champion can do in these situations. And yeah, once ShamWow was no longer pressured to use his ultimate defensively, things started turning around, because they did a good job. I know, it's crazy. I'm glad you're sitting down, because this is a big point. And it was impressive, though, for Striking Vipers to be able to punish that, keep ShamWow on the defensive, keep him trying to save his life with his ult. But past a certain point, it was no longer possible for them to do so. And that is part of when we see the turn, because ShamWow is able to go in big with that unstoppable force and allow ISU to push themselves to that win.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was what he was picked for. It was what he was born to do. ShamWow did it great, and now we get the chance to see what our analysts had to say. As we're going to throw this one over to the analyst desk for that sweet, sweet breakdown you've all been waiting for.
Boy, like, I mean, I'm fine with either. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back. Thank you very much yet again for the toss offs here, Dia and the V-Top Boulevard. I appreciate y'all. An amazing cast as usual. Right, gentlemen, let's go ahead and break down that game, because, like I was saying, I'm fine with either of the results that were to potentially happen, but I'm glad we got to this one.
I think that, game 2 was more interesting than game 1. We definitely got to see a little bit more of Striking Vipers, and I'm happy that they gave a little bit more of a show in game 2, because game 1, we saw it as kind of a stomp. I liked how they were a little bit more proactive around not only that top side, getting Censored Mercy a couple of kills, but even getting, Stifo back into the game. Dear Vista had a little bit of impact too. It started to fall apart once you got into that mid game, and GFP had some really good kicks, had some really good plays, and Drew Dozer just, the quirky scales.
That's really what it comes down to as well, because I think Draxler, you were kind of explaining it as well. Like, at the end of the day, yet again with the draft for Striking Vipers, right? There wasn't a ton they could do in terms of interaction with ISU, because so many of the tools they brought forward on their side just nullified what they had.
Absolutely. And I think after the last game, I mentioned that the two ways you can take on a better team than yourselves in terms of individual players is you go full fight and full scale. And when I say full fight, I mean like super hard engage where everyone can just send it in and it's easy to do. In this case, they kind of had half of that where they were looking to fight like crazy with the Rakan and the Irelia, but then the Lux and the Zaya kind of felt a bit sad and it's just hard to coordinate. And I think just, for anyone watching this that have your own team in a league where you're fighting a team that seems impossible to beat, going the scaling route is usually easier. Just pick a bunch of scaling and hope that the enemy team doesn't end. And by the time the team fights roll around, you either have like a mega powerful hyper carry or some kind of Sona or Yumi, and then just 1v9 that way. But it's just super difficult to play when your comp is split between that scaling and that fighting, and you have to play better than the enemy team, which as the worst team is not going to pan out for you.
Yes, sir. Now, with that being said, we actually, so just small little spoiler here is we are going to be talking to GFP in just a couple of seconds. So now that y'all know that, I think things, I know I don't want to say it either, but like, it's okay. Now that y'all know, consider ISU did win this overall 2-0. I did want to get both of y'all's thought real quick before you throw to that interview. So, Draxter, sticking with you, any words over the Striking Vipers to look forward into the next game and just overall, just the next season, I should say?
Yeah, a lot of it, I think, for players this caliber looking to maybe eventually go to Proving Grounds and try for that pro circuit is every single game. Don't worry about your team. Don't worry about, each iteration of whatever team you play on, but just look at your own gameplay and say, what could I have done better to carry this game? It doesn't matter if you're competitive. It doesn't matter what level you're playing it, all the way up to the world's level. You could have done something better. And just looking through that VOD, you can start that improvement process now.
100,000% here. And Adam, on your end.
I think Striking Vipers, it was a little bit better to get that game 2, get the nerves out of the way. I think, especially when you're going up against teams that I feel they know are better than them. You can just play a little bit more towards your own playstyle. Only sort of worry about yourself. Don't worry about the other team as much. And honestly, just have fun out there, because, you can't have as much fun, or you can't do as well in League if you're not having fun. And it's not as much fun if you're angry the entire time you're playing it. So, that's kind of just my rare advice there. But regardless, I think that they've got some really good stepping stones.
Stepping stones indeed, my friend, and I hope to see the stepping stones to continue to grow and improve forward as well. But so big shout out to ISU on the win. Like you already saw, we'll be talking to GFP in just a little bit. So make sure y'all stay tuned and come back for the interview. See you in a bit.
I noticed I drink a lot of sodas when I'm gaming. Might as well drink something that's good for me. Head over to drinkolipop.com and order your favorite flavor.
And welcome back here, amigos. We got a main man GFP here, hot off the win. UPL, GFP, how you feeling, broski?
Pretty good. Those games were really fun. There's some bangers.
That's what we like to hear, bro. Fun is good. And anytime you can make League of Legends fun, it's even better. It's a hard task to do a tall one, but I'm glad y'all were able to do it. So let's move on into what we got going on here today. Right? So real quick, question from me, homie. So you call yourself GFP, right? I'm assuming you got celiac and are you a panda?
Yeah, exactly. You got it correct. I have celiac.
Thank you very much for your insight on that. Adam, what do you got?
Honestly, couple questions here. Just first and foremost, how does it feel to take down Striking Vipers? You know, get your trash talk out. That's what I want to hear.
Oh, I mean, I didn't know who they were, so no feelings. Sorry. Like, they told me we were playing Vipers, and I was like, who's that? So.
Yeah, and I guess my second follow-up question is going into quarterfinals facing up against Super Sunshine Fruit Basket Warriors. That is a mouthful of a name to say. What are you expecting in terms of that matchup? Because, you know, we've seen some pretty good performances out of them. Took down Grandview 2-0. You know, any more challenges there, or still just who are they?
Yeah, it should be a good series. Like, usually we play okay against them, but if we could just all come and play perfectly, I think we just take them. So it should be a banger series.
Respect. Draxter, what's up, homie?
Yeah, by play perfectly, do you mean level 2 ganking bot lane as Lee Sin and not getting anything? Or
Okay, yeah,
is that
yeah.
factor into the equation?
The reason we do those is that if you ever play with Nausicaa, he is a very vocal player, so he will scream for 5 minutes straight. So I'd rather just clear comms and just run bot and then coin flip it, but it's okay.
All right.
I mean-
And yeah, I mean, if I could add on to that, like in terms of Super Sunshine or basically Columbia College, after them, is there anyone in the tournament that you like are looking forward to facing if you win against them or when you win against them?
Mostly Basket Warriors or CC. They're like the main team I'm looking forward to. Got to get revenge against them. So.
All right, well, there it is.
I mean, respect. I hope you're able to do that. Of course, the classic question to end it all off. Anything you want to get out to the people watching who can't see your face?
Pretty much a shout out to the coaching staff. We've been grinding hard, and we're making the comeback. So hopefully we can make a good showing for everybody and Collegiate as a whole.
I respect. Did you tell Peter to shave yet? Because if you haven't, you should.
Oh, I tell him every day I see him.
Thank God. All right, good. Peter, shave. Stop it. Looks bad. All right. I respect y'all, man. Good luck, GFP. Hope you appreciate you being on, man. I'm excited to see y'all games next week. Appreciate
All right,
it.
cool.
Peace.
Thanks, man.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've yet again reached another day, another answer to the UPL show. My Alex beside me, appreciate y'all being on beside me. Y'all y'all got any final words from me, man? Y'all want to get across anything? Adam, you go first because I feel like you haven't talked enough today.
Yeah, honestly, I think that, you know, I thought that Ravish, we were friends, man. But at the end of the day, you know, the only thing more ravishing than you is the fact that my camera has about 12 pixels in it right now. So, I mean, if we want to get that out of the way, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just my internet. But regardless, you know what? All I can say is it's a Canadian diff on this side of the broadcast, at least, you know, on this side. So you know, I'll give it to Draxter. He can speak as the only not freedom man here.
All right. Well,
What's up, Draxter?
I mean, it's my first time on the analyst desk here for Unified. It was a lot of fun, and look forward to doing the future. And yeah, for anyone watching, you guys better watch AoE Natsu, so I'm coming for you. Yep.
Ooh, all right. Well, I know that I'm not going to be not watching them. That's going to be for damn sure. Appreciate you to get the cast again from Diabita Boulevard and I behind the scenes from Hypertension and Andy. And y'all yet again for doing your thing. I have been ravishing. The most ravishing around the internet. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Same time, same place.
Second most ravishing.